should be ready.
Oh, hello.
Wait,
How's
let's
it
do.
go?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, the sound's okay. The video's okay.
Yeah,
What do
yeah,
you think?
yeah. Everything seems fine this side. Let's get into it.
Perfect, perfect. Right. Yeah. There's always that part when you just want to talk a bit about like random stuff, but maybe we
Yeah.
should try and stay on topic at least a tiny bit. Um, even though I said that the stream, even though it is ranking martial arts, it's also geeking out about random martial arts stuff. So not the biggest
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So what are we ranking it based on?
Yeah, that's what where the geeking out and rambling on part comes in.
Right.
uh, be- because it's always there's always a necessary metric or type thing that we have to figure out. Because I was thinking, like certainly ranking martial arts for MMA and self defense is not going to be the same. Like
No, it can't be. Yeah,
it
there's,
just
there's
can't be.
massive differences here.
Exactly. So what I was thinking, since there's only like one row for everything, we can do one of each. Like we can say we would put it here for MMA, and we'd put it here for self defense. And then later on, if we like edit it in and stuff like that, we can figure it out. But for now, we can just talk about it, especially in this stream for the people who will be joined and listening. Won't be able to see the screens anyway, so it will be just us rambling about martial arts,
Yeah.
which is fine. I hope that's good for people. Hope they enjoy random talks. So yeah,
Yeah. We'll soon see.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
list that you've seen, the martial arts that I picked, of course we could go so much more. We could like take an insane amount of martial arts, but at some certain point it's not necessary to go that deep. So this is sort of the most like common, and then some, I guess. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
put
So,
different lineages of aikido here and there and stuff like that, but not
I,
different
I know.
lineages of.
I, I noticed you put the HME Tai Chi in there as well.
Maybe there's a the greenest tier somewhere waiting for something.
I think that needs to go below that.
Yeah, that was intentional. There was no other reason for me to put that one, but hey, it's a bit of an inside joke at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So,
should
what
we?
are you thinking?
Well, should we start with? We should do self defense, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
Start with.
yeah.
It's what
I'm
it's what
before you.
everyone talks about, even when
Yeah,
it comes to MMA. Is it good for self defense? Well, yeah,
yeah. Oh, we can
obviously.
shadow fighter as well. Okay, we got people. Let's go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So we're going to start with the goat, BJJ for self defense.
All right. This is gonna be controversial. I can already feel it. There's gonna be angry people.
Well, see, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, so
Yeah.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so I've got a lot of love for it.
Yeah.
However,
Absolutely.
a lot of the practitioners of BJJ really piss me off for two reasons. That they immediately think that they have their opinion on MMA is better than other people's,
Yeah. There's a lot
and
of that.
that if they were in a self-defense situation, they would kick ass. And
Yeah. But
uh,
it's obviously like no matter. I think I can't remember somebody said, but BJJ is so good that even if it's performed badly, it's still okay, which is true. But it's not the be all end all ultimate self defense destroyer, especially if you're thinking about pulling guard like on concrete
yeah,
and like
well,
not doing
it's
takedowns that much.
yeah, I've seen footage of Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys who try to take people down. You know, it's a street fight. They go in, they try and take someone down. There was one at I think it was a gas station, and this guy was going in on a double. He couldn't even switch to a single. You know, it was embarrassing, and he basically just gassed himself out trying to get this
yeah,
guy to the ground. Ended up sort of pulling guard, and then embarrassed themselves. I mean, I
yeah,
think also that there's a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu people. You know, like a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu is basically like a black belt in every other martial art. You know, it
yeah.
should take you 2 to 3 years to get a blue belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. The standard is starting to fall, but it still is a lot higher standard than most martial arts. And they should be able to mess up most people in a street fight.
Right. Yeah. It's like the
However,
however, yeah, there's always a however.
yeah, a lot of the way it's practiced now, even with like a lot of the no gi, like no point system, because the points were put in there with self defense in mind. You know, if you got
Exactly.
mount, it's such a
That's
superior
obviously
position. You know,
better.
if you got knee on belly, but now there's a lot of people who do jujitsu who have no idea how to stop a strike.
Right, exactly. Like and it's always that idea of like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, especially IBJJF rules that incentivize or sort of like almost make you want to pull guard instead of do a takedown because it's more economical, and sweeps from what I understand are like the points you get for a sweep and a takedown are the same, and like
I
stuff
think
like
yeah, when you look at the statistics, I'm sure it's something like 70% of people who pull guard go on to win the match.
there you go,
That
like
is it's something like that. I'm sure there's someone out there going, "That's not right." But it's
yeah,
it's
that's
it's a
always
higher
right.
percentage of people who pull guard go on to win a match.
Yeah, and that's a big indicator that that's a no-no for a street situation. Like, there's no chance in hell you're winning if you're fighting in a street and you have to defend yourself, like by pulling guard in that specific gas station that you said. Like,
Yeah, well, but I think there's a lot of people you could do it to, but from a self-defense
sure.
situation, even from an MMA situation, the last
Exactly.
place you want to be 99% of the time is on the ground with somebody else on top of you.
Right,
You know,
that's the word.
it's
Even
yeah,
if we're talking about an MMA fighter, that's the position you don't want to be in. Like,
yeah,
even if there's multiple people, like top mount can be a problem as well. Like,
yeah.
there's footage of people fighting in the street. Somebody does an amazing takedown, just throws bombs from like a mount position, and then somebody kicks him in the head, and that's over. It's like,
Although I do hear a lot of people say, like, well, that shows that Mount's useless. But at the same time, how much footage how much footage is there of people just engaged in a fight in general, and
yeah,
somebody just sucker punches them?
oh yeah, exactly,
It's I'd say if you see someone coming and you're in mount, it's quite difficult
yeah,
to get up. Obviously, a knee on belly is what that sort of thing is designed for. You want a good knee on belly in that position because you want to be able to move if you can.
yeah.
But
People are being
yeah, but
nice in comments.
yeah. Thank.
Yeah,
Was that for me? Oh, I feel really good
yeah,
now.
I'm pretty sure. All
Yeah.
right, we
So
can shadow saying something. When I was training jiu-jitsu, I was taught a little more strike. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like especially that comparison that he's saying, like Gracie jiu-jitsu and BJJ. Nowadays, that's kind of a different thing, right? It's not
it
exactly.
is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've pulled that distinction because not many Gracie jiu-jitsu people compete anymore. They've decided to go for we do proper self-defense,
Yeah,
and there's definitely an argument for it. It all depends on what you want, basically.
yeah. Oh, and now
So
when we're on that topic, just like I'll interject a bit. Like, when it comes to these martial arts that we listed, I think the best way to look at them is like when it says BJJ or Aikido or Wing Chun. It's like, let's think of it as the most like common
yeah,
gyms, because
yeah,
there's,
yeah,
especially when we come to traditional martial arts, there's way better ones and there's McDojos and stuff. So like finding an average, like what are the chances of you getting to, like, if you sign up for Wing Chun, what are the chances of you getting somebody like Silala or Alan or some badass
yeah,
versus,
yeah. Very, very low.
yeah, so
That's
we'd
right. All
have
right.
to
Yeah. So,
keep that in
so
mind.
I would. yeah, so I would say for the vast majority of people that do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
All
have
right,
never taken a proper punch in their life.
there you go. So that's
Oh, thanks. Is that Rebby? Reby? Reby?
Rebby,
Don't know.
Reby.
Rebby? Yeah, let us know how to pronounce your name. But yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
There
so
we go.
I would still have to put jiu-jitsu as good
I was
for
thinking
me,
the same thing.
simply because as
Boom.
much as I think a lot of people in jiu-jitsu don't know how to take a punch, or when they go to MMA classes, get lit up a bit and then never come back.
Yeah,
At the same time, whatever they learn works.
right. Exactly. Like as we said, the top mount thing, where there's obvious dangers, but it still objectively is a great position. And if you know how to
Yeah,
do that, like that's still a great thing to know. Like it's actually if you don't know it, that's kind of a problem as well. Like that's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
the fault of like BJJ positions. It's just how things work, which comes with wrestling and all grappling essentially. So, but yeah, the particular brand of grappling that is BJJ. That's what we're like saying right here because we're gonna go down into like freestyle wrestling, submission wrestling, and stuff like that. And it's a particular brand of grappling you
yeah,
that's
yeah.
making.
I think we should put it as good
Yeah, I'm
personally. Yeah.
it's on right now. And
All
here we
right.
go with the controversies already. It didn't even start. Somebody, BJJ. And it's funny how BJJ is sort of becoming, in that sense, like a lot of traditional martial arts, how they're viewed, where it's like, no, this is the best thing of all time, and you can't say anything about. That's funny. That's interesting.
Well, the interesting thing is, it's exactly like karate. You know, in the days when karate wasn't as popular,
Yeah.
most people that did it were badass. Like most people could fight.
Oh,
And then as it got more and more popular and it started attracting more and more people, and there's a
exactly.
lot of money to be made out of it as well. You know, to keep students, you can't keep hurting them.
Yeah.
And
Right.
jiu-jitsu, like I said, I'm a purple belt, and I would say, in all honesty, I am nowhere near as good as purple belts were when I first started.
And that is a fact, and that is fine because that's what Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is becoming now, and that's not a bad thing. Like we said, not everybody needs to be this badass, awesome destroyer of a martial art. You just want to practice a martial art and do stuff.
Yeah,
So, like, how long is the stream? No idea.
yeah.
No
At
clue.
this rate, about 7 hours. I, I think it'll
Something
be
like
a
that.
lot quicker with a lot of these because a lot of these are a lot easier to answer
Yeah,
than
yeah.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a very difficult subject
Yeah, exactly. Like
to talk about.
this isn't as easy as it feels, but then we got stuff like Ichimi Tai Chi, which we all know it goes to obviously the
Yeah.
best around the city and goes straight to trash. Right away. Let's move on.
What? Get chi blast?
Well, there's gonna be someone who's gonna advocate for it to go into kind of bad because they're sort of being disillusioned, but they still feel like no, there's like stuff that's good in it, and it's like, no, sorry.
Well, I mean, while we're on, let's head straight for HME Tai Chi then, shall
Let's
we?
do
Right?
that.
Let's do it. I mean, again, because we're talking, I'm sure there's some out there that can fight. I mean, I know of one that's had boxing fights and some amateur, like full contact fights and that. But you've got to go with the vast majority, like we were saying earlier. And the
Exactly.
vast majority of people in HME are just learning to stand in front of each other and push each other.
Yeah,
And not even push each other properly, just kind of like, have
yeah.
the other
There's
person jump
a
up in
lot
the
of
air.
no touchy type stuff that I've seen.
Yeah.
Like I remember the MMA style takedown defense by Misner. It's like,
That was
what even
amazing.
an MMA style takedown? Like just the wording of it is already like wrong on so many different levels. It's like just say what it is. Is it a double leg? Is it a single? But in all honesty, whatever it is, it was shown poorly, so it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
But it's
So
you touch
I'm
the
just putting it. straight to trash. If I could put it below trash, I would. And if any UK HME representatives want to prove otherwise, come to me. You know you won't because you're too
Yeah.
scared.
No,
You're
yeah,
trash.
they'll throw you around, but they won't see any benefit in filming that. So
No, no, there's no
checkmate,
benefit in
checkmate,
having.
mate.
Yeah. Right, you can pick next one.
Okay, let's go with another easy one. Let me just find it. Yellow bamboo.
Well,
Does
I
anybody
mean,
still remember yellow bamboo?
if there's something even worse than HME Tai Chi,
Right? Is it
it's
possible?
yellow bamboo. It's only just possible. So yeah, yellow bamboo is going trash. For anyone that doesn't know, yellow bamboo is this group of people that they create chi balls and they blast them at people running towards them to stop them. And there's great video out there of a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy just smashing them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And then like they're sitting down, and he's like projecting like energy, and like he's gonna stop his punch, and the guy goes with 1 2, and then suddenly he starts like grabbing and doing like suddenly
yeah,
no stuff is happening, and then just gets KO'd in like a second. Oh,
yeah.
that
So that was that easy.
yeah, that was definitely easy.
Yeah,
Should we go with a sister? Let's do 2 by 2. So I pick two, you pick two.
yeah.
That.
That's good for me.
What about judo? Let's discuss some judo.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, judo is it's basically on the same level as Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
What I'm thinking too.
Because again, you've got everything they use works. It has to. That's what
Yeah,
judo is. But at the same time, I mean, as somebody used to say to me, you can't hit anybody with something harder than concrete. You know, if
yeah,
you're throwing somebody in to the floor, they're not getting up.
yeah.
However, again, the other thing is you're not dealing with punches, and a lot of the way judo guys throw people now, they're kind of sacrificing themselves
True. And
by
we have to like take in the fact that like most judo schools now won't teach you any kind of like leg takedowns almost at all.
yeah,
And most of the schools don't deal with newaza, with bottom grappling. So it's like even though it all exists within judo, like where Brazilian jiu-jitsu came from, but if you just go to a common judo school, that's you're likely not going to learn that stuff. Which again, like if you're fighting on like hard surfaces, maybe hip tosses and stuff that they focus is even better, because you're not going to shoot a deep double leg and hurt your knees. But it is true that they are neglecting a certain element that exists within
yeah.
grappling.
It's I mean, it's interesting. Again, I used to do jiu-jitsu. I used to my regular sort of drilling partner was an ex-Olympian judo guy,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, and he was saying like the good thing about what they were doing was it was creating such like beautiful throws, like such perfect throws, because you're not having to, you know, if you can grab someone's leg, obviously your technique doesn't have to be as good.
Yeah, it doesn't look as cool.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of these throws are so like when they get it, like he used to be able to foot sweep me. Like I could never, even though I knew it was coming, I couldn't stop it. It was so like
Oh yeah,
perfect.
the timing, the I think that when it comes to judo, that's what even Habib said, that like he'd put judo over wrestling when it comes to like skill, like Olympics and stuff. And I think it's probably that like the ability to stand up and do such a timed like sweep into like a takedown and just remain like in such a good position, and it's like way more stationary and a lot less chainy, like in chain wrestling than we see
Yeah,
in wrestling. And that's like insane when you see judokas do like insane acrobatic stuff like that. So
yeah,
kind of true. That does make sense to me. So like the ashibarai, the sweeps, the foot sweeps, holy. damn. Like when you feel that from like a high level judoka, it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
woo, been there. It's a insane feeling.
Yeah,
They just know they just know exactly where you are, where your body is. Like
yeah.
the
As that,
exact
judo is exactly like jiu-jitsu. You know, it has holes for self-defense, but everything a judoka practices, they can do.
yeah,
So it's going to work. Whatever they decide to do is going to work. That's
yeah.
the thing with judo. So we're putting that in good.
All right. Your pick.
My pick on that, I am going to go with Shuai Zhao.
Ooh, all right. Let me just find it. Okay. So I'm not the most knowledgeable, but from what I understand, it's sleeveless judo, right?
Well, it's I'd say it's closer to sort of sambo without the groundwork and
Yeah,
without any sort of strikes, because you've got a lot of wrestling in there, but you've got stuff to grab onto.
yeah. Like they're obviously
So
grabbing the sleeves a lot.
yeah, yeah. So it's a lot more wrestling based than like judo, but it's you're grabbing on to stuff, not like wrestling in their little leotards.
Sasae Tsurikomi Ashi is his favorite foot sweep. Shadow says that is a good foot sweep, if I remember correctly which one it is. But yeah, I'm a basic Ashi Barai enjoyer. I suck at it. I suck at it. I did it twice this year, I think. But hey, when it happens, it's
uh,
cool.
I don't do any foot sweeps. I'm rubbish. I'm useless at them.
Yeah,
But
they're
yeah,
hard.
yeah. So they're different. It is all in the timing. Unless you've practiced, unless you're doing your footwork drills over and over with somebody, you're
Oh
not
yeah,
gonna you're not gonna pick them up.
yeah. Like a member of our jujitsu gym. Like he's a Japanese jujitsu guy, but he's trained taekwondo and this and that and judo. And like
Yeah,
his foot sweeps when he was competing and active, like he would just catch you all the time, and it would feel
yeah,
so like demoralizing almost, even though it's just like rolling like randori. But it's just like he foot sweeps you, you get up, and then he foot sweeps you on the different side,
yeah,
and you're like, okay, fine, like whatever. But it's insane the timing that these guys have on
yeah. And that's what we want. So yeah, so Swai Zhao again. I mean,
it.
it's good.
I'm thinking good, yeah, the
Yeah,
same, yeah, pretty judo BJJ Shueijang. Okay,
yeah, same. So I get another pick
yeah,
then.
let's see.
This is one. This is one I feel very deeply about. I used to train with a guy that actually fought Dolph Lundgren in the Crystal
Yeah,
Palace uh,
I forgot about
British
that. We
Open.
need a comment about that. Hey,
Yeah. So I'm going Kyokushin
Kukushin.
karate.
Let me just find
So
it. Where did I put it?
that's in the towards the right on the
Oh yeah,
second.
right
Yeah,
there.
there you go.
All right, what we're gonna do about Kyokushin, and I think we can count like the different branches, like Enshin karate, which is essentially, I think, about the same level. So just for people, there's
Yeah.
more.
Well,
A couple.
Kyokushin again. If you went to Kyokushin from like the 80s, like you would probably be putting it up into awesome
Yeah,
because the guys were killers. In
it was.
terms of yeah, they still train for full contact, but I think very few people that practice Kyokushin now do
Right.
certainly in the UK from my experience with it.
I'm not aware of any Kyokushin schools. I mean, there certainly are there, but in my entire country, I've never like seen a headline or anything about Kyokushin karate. It certainly has to exist, but it's like,
Yeah, it used to be a really big system, and there's a lot in the 80s. They do a lot of crossover kickboxing fights and Muay Thai fights,
yeah,
and
like Kyokushin, Enshin, karate, they were all everywhere. You can find like insane matches on YouTube, just
yeah,
so many insane fights, like just hardcore, like brutal KOs and stuff. It's
I think the thing with Kyokushin, because it was traditionally, I think it's moving away from it now. But
yeah,
traditionally, it was bare knuckle, you weren't allowed to punch the face,
Yeah.
but you could throw full contact to the body and kick to the head. So what you get a lot of is people with their hands down here protecting their
Right
bodies
here.
and using footwork and distance to keep people away from kicking them.
But this leaving this open is a problem. Like,
Yeah,
I've never met a Kyokushin person. Me and Armando, like, we warm up by doing like bare knuckle, like soft Kyokushin rules type sparring, because it's like you're not gonna get hurt and you can do it bare knuckle and you can just like do it light, and it's super fun. So that's like a cool thing that you can do when it comes to the rule set. But like in terms of self defense, like not being conditioned to watch for this, like with the hands, is a bit of a problem. So that has to factor in. It has to play
yeah,
a
it,
part.
it does. And again, you've got the same thing where if you are competing, at least you know about full contact, you know about protecting your head from kicks. It's
Yeah,
just going to be a bit of a problem when the punches come in.
yeah,
But it doesn't take that much to adapt
right.
to.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the biggest problem, but it
Yeah,
is certainly like a conditioning thing. Like maybe just not being used to like the crisp timing that you need if you meet like a somebody who's good with hands. But again, chances of you fighting a boxer or anyone good on the street are not the biggest.
yeah, and but the other thing is, you have also got the fact if you were a Kyokushin competitor and you fight a boxer, you are gonna smash their legs all day.
Right, yeah. Like I
And we
put
have seen,
like it's a form of kickboxing that always in my mind wins over boxing, even though boxers are insane with precision and timing and this and that, and often we see boxers destroy arts that use legs as well. But I think
yeah.
Kyokushin specifically is a bit different.
Well, I think like, I used to think pretty much. Well, you put a boxer against a kickboxer, they're better because they've got better hands and they fight at a much higher level. But then I've seen so many videos where high level boxers have gone up against kickboxers and just don't have an answer for those leg kicks
Yeah,
because they
exactly.
haven't trained
Just
for
no
them.
answer
Yeah.
at all.
So, but as we're going for like a majority,
Yeah, judo
sort of like
getting blood in the
the
chest.
most people that practice it, I am going to put Kyokushin in okay, just
All
for the
right.
fact I don't think most of the people that do it now even
Yeah,
spar much, let alone compete.
yeah, and we have to keep that in mind that we said
Yeah,
we're taking like the average
yeah.
of the so
And if anyone wants to jump down my throat over it, like this is strictly speaking my experience of like
yeah, that's fair.
practicing it for a little while in the UK. Like it could be different in other countries. It might change now. This is going back like over 20 years ago now.
Yeah,
So, but in my experience
karate on
from
steroids.
what I know about this karate sort of stuff, I'm putting it as okay.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, even though like I don't have any Kyokushin like true experience, so I can't like argue against that. But that seems totally logical for me, especially like as we said, we'll have to look at the averages. We're gonna get into some of my favorite arts that are 9 out of 10 schools are complete shit. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, same for me.
What
Yeah,
can you do?
unfortunately.
All right, should
Right,
we
so
move on
your
to
turn to
boxing?
pick. Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going since we mentioned boxing. Let's do some Western boxing, some Jack Dempsey stuff.
Uh,
Now, this is an interesting one. Like, the thing that comes to my mind is like I immediately want to go with, oh yeah, but the kicks are gonna destroy you. Oh yeah, just shoot for a double like this and that. But when we look at street fight footage, it is true that like ones and twos and just good head movement usually is what like ends most of the fights in like videos like that.
yeah,
So just basic crisp boxing goes a long way. Even though like kicks and this and that and knees are better, but usually people on the street don't throw kicks or can't throw
yeah,
anybody down. So like boxing does go a long way. But again, a part of me feels like, oh, but like kicks and knees and stuff.
Well,
But
the other thing we have to look at as well is, as we keep saying, like the percentage of people that do it, how effective they are. And for the most part, again, people at box can do everything they do for real.
yeah, exactly. That's a very important thing to keep in mind. Like, since boxing, like when we compare a lot of these martial arts and a lot of these combat sports, mhm, the sort of you get.
Just
I'm
about.
yeah, I'm smoking as well, which is not a good thing if you're gonna do martial arts and stuff. But it's okay. Kazushi
Yeah.
Sakuraba smoked and drank, so um, but
Yeah. That
so I'm
in the early
comfortable.
days you could get away with it. You can't anymore.
No, no, no. I have a funny story about the first MMA fight about the cigarette, but I'll say that later. It's not that funny, but it's
Right.
okay. Um, where was I? I was thinking about
Um,
we got Yola's Mai. We got a Martial Geek member in the chat. Hey, Tomo-chan kun. Okay, yeah, memes. Let's go. Um, we're saying about boxing. I lost my train of thought.
well, I'd say the other thing about boxing as well, as you've already pointed out, when we look at the majorities, like say in the street fights, it's a good one to maybe a couple of hook punches. But the other thing is, when we're always talking about self defense, and you get a lot of these traditional martial artists will say, yeah, but what about multiple opponents? But for
Yeah,
me, when I've seen video footage of people being
multiple
successful
opponents,
against more than one opponent, it's nine times out of ten a boxer. Yeah, moving, punching.
right?
So
Like just dropping people with ones and twos. Like
yeah,
there's so much footage of that. There's even an old guy at a gas station, I think, that knocked out two guys like that and just stood. And of course, everybody sort of moved back. But it's like that's a testament of how good boxing actually is.
yeah,
But yeah, that's that. Now it came back to me. I was gonna say, like, when you look at martial arts that are primarily like arts in the sense of like not necessarily competing or not putting that in the forefront of their practice, boxers, like if you're a boxer, chances like they compete and spar like crazy. Like that's already
yeah.
a huge
At the
important
very
thing,
least, you're sparring. That's the
right?
important
And you're
thing.
sparring a lot, and boxers tend to spar harder than like MMA
Yeah.
guys. That's like,
And even if you're not competing, you're usually sparring against other people that are competing, which
yeah,
propels you up as well. Yeah.
yeah. So I think boxing actually gets a very high rating. What do you think?
Oh, it's got to be at least awesome. I'm kind of
Right? I
wondering
think
whether it
I
should be the
don't want to
best
put it
around as well, though. That's
right, but I wanna keep that. I'm not sure. We have to
so.
be.
Is the
You
best
can always
around
keep.
just yeah? Is best around just going to be one? Like, can it only be one?
It doesn't have to.
Is
I
it like the
think.
Highlander? Well, yeah. For now, yeah, let's put boxing as awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I think boxing goes to awesome. BJJ guys are crying. Um. um. Okay, so should we move on to the next one? Let's make it
Yeah,
interesting.
that
Fist to the head and a double leg. That's Josip, our Martial Geeks member, says that's a inside reoccurring joke that we, whenever we explore these traditional arts in the gym and we're thinking about like specific minute details and this and that, somebody always goes, just punch him and do a double leg. And it's like, okay, sorry. But okay, I was thinking of going in a completely different direction and let's
yeah.
pick Fuera. Let's make it interesting.
Oh yeah. Let's hear your thoughts on that then.
Yeah, so I've known a couple capoeiristas and I've seen a lot of footage and this and that, but I think it falls. I think it's like with a lot of these traditional old martial arts. Whenever if you're invested in it, you're gonna wanna say and go like, look, no, look at the best guy that does it. And I'm sure the best guys are insane, but they have to do. other stuff that's not
Yeah, I was
commonly
gonna say that.
used,
Yeah.
right? Like doing just basic kicks and 1-2s, not doing the Jenga all the time, but having that insane explosivity of their movement ready. But most capoeira guys won't be able to do that. Like most capoeira guys, it's again very traditional martial art. So I think it's one of those arts that's like a DLC thing. Like if you know how to fight and then train some capoeira,
Yeah, it'll
you
help
can
you.
punch
Yeah.
people. So,
Yeah,
so I'm
I
not
think
thinking of going very high, honestly. So
no, I think you're right. I think if you look at most people that do capoeira, they don't even want to fight. They don't
yeah,
even. They're not even using it as a pretense. They're not even using it as a fantasy. For the vast
right.
majority of people that do capoeira, they're treating it like it's almost like a break dance. You know that
And
they're
it's,
just
and
like
it's
doing the
really
cool stuff.
it's dancing that
Yeah,
has motions. Like we know historically, from what I understand, they used to like the creators of it used to hide that they're training martial arts doing the dance, the Jenga and stuff. So from what I understand, it probably was actual like fighting. This is just the traditional like dance, how they did it. But that's what most capoeira practitioners do anyway. So
yeah,
we have to judge it based on that. So honestly, I want to go with kind of bad
yeah. I think
because we're
kind of
talking about
bad
self
is
defense,
fair.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And again, if you're looking at most self-defense situations, you know, you'd be walking through a street. I mean, we also we should really define what self-defense is as well,
All right, we
because
didn't do that, and
yeah,
that's
because
the most
a
important
lot
thing,
of people, yeah, because a lot of people distinguish or don't distinguish between a street fight and self-defense.
right? Exactly, because we're almost ranking it and talking about it as if it's just street fights, but it is self
Yeah,
defense, and that's
yeah. So
different.
yeah, and most in most self-defense situations, maybe this is where like jiu-jitsu could maybe push itself up is, you know, if someone just pounces on you and you go to the deck,
Yeah,
then jiu-jitsu obviously is then where you want to be at.
some
But yeah,
internet
if
breakup, so I didn't
if
hear
we
the full sentence, but
I'll go just back into jiu-jitsu saying it could redeem itself slightly because when you for self-defense, you're going to get taken unawares, and if you suddenly get pounced upon and you end up on the floor, you're going to need jiu-jitsu. However,
yeah, exactly.
I'm still leaving it in good. But as for capoeira, you know, when we look at fights breaking out where you're going to need it as a valid self-defense option,
Yeah,
I think most people end up in a self-defense situation when they're walking through town. There's a group of people, and all of a sudden a fight breaks out, and you've
yeah,
got no choice. You can't walk away because it's all
right.
around you.
There are situations like that for sure.
Yeah. So when are you then going to start
Jenga,
being able to do like big jumping, swirling, twisty, turny kicks? You know,
yeah.
that's not happening.
Can you do that in a toilet?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah, but just in a street, can you do that while there's 15 other people around you? No.
you're going to protect your girlfriend and then accidentally kick her in the head.
Yeah,
Just go to
yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah. I knocked him out, but there were 15 other innocent bystanders.
Oh, I just visualized that. Your cold drop.
So
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
kind of bad.
thinking capoeira is kind of bad there. All right, I think that's my two. I think you're next.
Okay, right. Because I my first ever full contact uh, fight was a Sanshou fight, and
Ooh,
Sanshou is what turned into Sandar.
there we
So
go.
I'm gonna go with that. Now, I think Sandar would be best around if it weren't for one thing.
All right, I mean, listening.
It stops when it goes to the ground.
Yeah, yeah,
It's great. You got your kicks, you've got your punches, you've got your wrestling.
yeah.
It's kind of assumed. Well, when you go on the ground, you're at disadvantage, so I win.
Yeah, and I think this is where what you said earlier plays into it when it's different from a street fight, because it's a street fight and you both square up, and now
Yeah,
the Sanda guy will destroy an untrained person or whatever. But if
yeah,
it's self defense, you could be jumped and you could fall, you could hit a table and end up on the ground where jujitsu or any kind of ground grappling is necessary. So you could be a epic Sanda guy on the floor, like being bombarded with ashtrays and stuff. So
yeah,
so
yeah. But having said that, it's got to be awesome
it's got to be
because
awesome
again,
because it is
you
awesome.
are if you're doing sander, again, it's like boxing. Even if you're not competing, you're doing it with people that are competing. You know,
Yeah, and
it's such a
like
specific
the
thing.
rigorous sports universities and the rigorous like competitions and just the ambition of like Sanda fighters is insane. And like the
Yeah,
transition from like kicks and punches to takedowns, it's crisp as it gets, I think. So Sanda in my book goes to awesome.
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And
Don't worry,
now
baby. I'll protect. Oh,
I'm going to pick my second love, which is the martial art I started off in. Well, not started off in, but the first one I did most when I first started was Tai Chi.
all right. Are we
And
gonna do some
this
indecent thing of Tai Chi?
this one is going to break my heart because um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was taught by a guy who was an ex Hong Kong policeman and who
Oh,
was former Southeast Asian full contact champion. And
there you go.
this guy, he knew how to punch, he knew how to. I, and I've got a story about him. Like he was teaching calf kicks
Oh,
in the late 90s.
oh, that's
And I remember
spicy.
him, yeah, and I remember him teaching them. And I remember going, nah, I've done a bit of Muay Thai, I've done some Kyokushin karate. I know you kick the thigh. Why would
Ah, there you go. Oh, internet connection breaking up. Just a moment. Let's see. Are we back? We're back, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, we lost
Yes.
a bit.
So I was just saying, like, I totally discounted them. And then before you know it, 2012, over 10 years later, and they were
Right?
everywhere.
Yeah,
And
like
now they're
taking
such a
over.
part of MMA that they're ending fights on their own. However,
Like, yeah,
we have to go with majority of people that practice Tai Chi, and as we know, it's mostly old, overweight people waving their hands in parks. You know, it's not. It's no longer a martial art. It's steadily heading towards the capoeira. Only
yeah,
instead of young athletic people doing backflips, it's old overweight people waving their hands around.
yeah. That's what I'm thinking always, and that's sad. But now here's the thing. Like we put capoeira in kind of bad, simply because not into trash, because of course it cannot compare to HME and Yellow Bamboo. Um, but there's levels to the trash tier because I'm thinking like how useful even is the worst, like the least good practice that we get. Like in capoeira, people are obviously at least athletic and they can move
Yeah.
their body, so that works. What do you think about Tai Chi, like the common Tai Chi practitioner?
Again,
Like
if we're talking about
how
common,
much?
because we still have pushing hands practitioners.
Yeah,
If your school is practicing pushing hands, I'd say you've probably got more skill needed than a capoeira guy.
there you go.
But yeah, however, um, even the ones that do proper push hands aren't that common anymore. You know,
Yeah,
most Tai Chi taught is just in a town hall somewhere, a bit of form, maybe wave weapons around a bit, and that is it. Or they might do the HME standing,
yeah.
fudging projection. So I still don't want to say trash because I think there's enough Tai
Me
Chi
neither.
practitioners that can do know about body manipulation and pushing and stuff. I
I
know the
was
first
thinking
few.
the same. Yeah, like not definitely not trash, just
Yeah, yeah,
handy.
but kind of bad because of because
Oh, that's good. But
it does
we haven't gotten to my spicy ones, so we're gonna both try. It's gonna be fun.
uh, so it's your picks now.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's go with this one's gonna be interesting. Let's go with Krav Maga.
Well, I've been thinking about this today, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Krav Maga for me gets an awesome, and I think this is going to be really controversial.
Ooh.
And it gets awesome not because I think it's particularly good, because I think most people that practice Krav Maga, if they get into an actual real fight, won't know what to do. But
Yeah.
I think it gets awesome because it teaches self defense situations, which puts people in
Oh,
mind. And the best self defense out there is to not be in that situation in the first
yeah.
place. And because they teach it as a standard, it's, if you see things kicking off, remove yourself from the
Yeah.
situation. If you see a group of people walking towards you, cross the road. Don't put yourself in a situation where it can kick off. And
Yeah.
I
Like
have
a
to say,
one
yeah, talking about like self
going in
defense,
Krav Maga.
yeah, but talking about self defense, like for me, I got in a lot of street fights when I was young. As I got older, even though I was a much better
Oh, it's breaking up again. Crapsicles.
more it develops now. And even if I start to see, whereas my
Perfect.
ego would have kept me in check, nowadays I go, yeah, I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
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 So,
Like
bye. Yeah. And I don't even think twice about it. I used to.
remove yourself.
I used to for about a month after. If I walked away from a fight,
Oh, internet's being a doofus again. Sorry about that.
yeah,
Internet's been going on a tantrum. I think it's okay now. Sorry to cut you off.
yeah, but
Yeah,
that's all right. Well, it seems to be working from my end.
yeah,
But
it's probably my internet. So
yeah, but I think Krav Maga should be awesome just because I think it shows people how to avoid fights, which not a lot of martial arts do that.
yeah. So I'm thinking, okay. What do you think?
Um, I think because of the fact that it shows people how to avoid fights, I think it should get
All
good
right, that makes sense. Well,
because I think a lot more people are going to get out of a situation
that is true. Yeah, actually, yeah, because it's not
because
just
then
street fighting. Like even if like the techniques that they show commonly and stuff like that isn't the highest percentage, like what you said is
yeah,
true. You're already removing yourself, and that is
yeah, they're
that
going
is
to
self-defense.
avoid a lot more fights.
And here's a perfect place to interject the MMA thing. If we were ranking this for MMA, Krav Maga gets
Trash. Yeah, absolute trash. Yeah.
Here we go. So Krav Maga here goes to good.
Yeah. If they taught decent moves, it would be awesome. But
Yeah. And there's again somebody's gonna be like, but my Krav Maga school does. Sure, that's not
yeah,
not true. But it's like, how many of those are there? So,
yeah,
oh
few and
no,
far between.
BJJ and Krav Maga are literally in the same. Oh man, this is gonna
Who'd,
get like.
whoever would have thought that would have happened?
Well, been nice knowing you were cancelled. So yeah. All right. Did I do just one, right? Or I have one more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got one more. Yeah,
All right. Let's go with Savat. That's an interesting one.
it is interesting.
Now we're
I,
moving.
I think, yeah, I think we need to hear more of you in this one.
Yeah, like I'm again not the most knowledgeable guy when it comes to Savat, but I've seen like I think I'm not sure how many like active Savat schools are there still. That's what's like making me think that that's the most important aspect to think of right now. From what I understand, there's not many, and um, it feels like one of those where they and somebody a Savat guy, if they ever watch this, we might be totally wrong and they're gonna hate us for it. But hey, um, like they had they did awesome, like a lot of sparring and awesome matches and fights and this and that. But it makes me think, why don't we see like many Savat people in like kickboxing style combat sports? Like when we're thinking about Sanda, where it's not that famous, we still see a lot of like Sanda fighters like showing up even in the UFC. And I
Yeah,
can't think of many Savat people that I've seen on and not knocking down the art itself. It's I think it's awesome for everything I've seen. And it was a basis for a lot of Bruce Lee stuff when he was developing like his
yeah.
things. So like obviously they have insane awesome kicks. Um but when you think of stuff like Dutch kickboxing and all these other arts, like I don't think it ranks too high. That's what I'm thinking.
I think, yeah, I think it probably suffers from the same kind of problem that Taekwondo has,
Yeah, that's what I
which is there's such an emphasis on nice kicks, nice
yeah,
flashing kicks
like the aesthetic.
that, yeah, that it then takes a bit away from the practicality of it.
Yeah, and
But having said that,
a
how
good
few
sidekick.
people practice it anymore?
Oh yeah,
Like they might be the hardcore people. We
yeah,
don't know. Like
yeah. And
it'd be good to.
that's where I was
They might be
going.
just, yeah, so hardcore. They might be the most awesome fighters ever,
Right.
but because they're so hardcore and so like niche, we just don't see them anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that on Fight Commentary Breakdowns channel, he made a video where a Savat guy fought a Muay Thai guy or whatever. Absolutely demolished the Muay Thai guy. Like that's something I've seen. But again, that's a person, just one
Yeah,
guy, and this and that.
that
So
if he's going out to challenge Muay Thai fights, he's got to be
mm,
good,
yeah,
and
obviously.
he's probably
But what
not
I'm
picking.
thinking in terms of self defense, like a good sidekick, I think is a good thing, especially like if you're like removing yourself from the situation, this and that, and just going
Yeah,
oof and running away, like that seems like a good thing that happens. And it's not as good as boxing. I don't think that I've never seen. I've seen some videos of that happening, but it's never like the common thing that we see. But it feels, at least in theory, like a plausible thing, like just kicking somebody's liver or just like poof completely like destroying their oxygen tank and just running away. Seems like a Savat thing somehow.
yeah. Well, I just think again, it's because it's a select amount of moves that these people are practicing.
Yeah,
What they are practicing will work.
yeah,
But the interesting thing would be to find out how much do they spar, how
exactly.
much do they compete, because that's the thing that also, and it's something we haven't spoken about actually, is when people talk about, oh, competing doesn't prepare you for the streets. However, what competing does do, it's like an inoculation. It gets you used to that feeling, what to do with
Exactly.
adrenaline. And you
Right.
get a lot of
That's
people
an important thing.
that might practice martial arts for 15, 20 years. They might look fantastic when you see footage of them drilling against other people. But the first
Oh
time
yeah.
they get punched in the face and they go, what was that?
Mike Tyson joins the chat.
Yeah, yeah, everybody got a plan to punch in the face.
But yeah, it is true because like it's when it comes to all these like karate styles and traditional arts like those that break boards and stuff. Like you can see insane flips and kicks, and not just like tapping, like foot fencing. They throw power and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But if you don't spar regularly or compete under pressure, like you're not gonna know what to do with yourself. Like here's my personal example. Like I spar a shitload. Like I most of like the time in the gym I almost spend it just by sparring because it's so much fun, and I just do a shitload of that, and I'm young and I can do it. We don't spar hard, so we can do more of it. But even though I spar that much and prepared so long and had my first MMA fight, Jesus Christ, the adrenaline is insane. Like
yeah,
I can't imagine if you don't spar and do this stuff. I think we talked briefly about that. Like, holy shit, how do you think you even have a chance in any kind of altercation if you don't spar? Or just
yeah.
even just for the technique, just for the feeling, like, oh shit, the fists are coming. Like I'm gonna get punched. So
We see it so much. Like I worked as a doorman for a while, and you see like big scary people. The first time they get punched, they just look like, "What was that?" And then
yeah,
before you know it, they've been hit 3 or 4 more times. Whereas
exactly.
when I was very young and I was going out, my first few fights, I actually got hit first. But
There you go.
when I got hit, my first reaction was to hit back.
Yeah,
And quite often, I'd catch the person coming in, they do a one, and then as they're going to do the two, I'm like doing a wild swing, which would
yeah,
either connect or get them to back off and let me get
yeah,
my wits back about me. Whereas for a lot of people, because they don't know that feeling of being hit,
yeah.
when they get hit, they just go, "What
Right,
was
exactly. Like I
that?"
remember like when I was early like teenager and stuff, like actually like getting in physical altercations in school and this and that and like bullying. And I remember like the adrenaline and like swinging and getting hit and like in the moment realizing what it means and just this pressure, like that's just when you're a kid, that's just a tiny little bit of that. Like imagine grown-ups, like insane people and like
Yeah,
possibly life and death situations. Like if you're not used to even a tiny piece of that pressure, you're screwed. Like there's no
yeah.
chance in.
Well, you see it like I've seen it a lot in MMA classes where these big like gym rats come in with like muscles on muscles,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
they'll do the pad work sessions, and you're looking at them and you're going, "I've got to spar this person in a minute." And
yeah,
you're like battering these pads, and you're like, "Oh my god!" And you start like really having to G, and you feel this adrenaline, and you pump, and then they come to actually do the sparring, and they're like this.
yeah, yeah,
They're so stiff and robotic, and you can see they're absolutely crapping them, and you end up like just kind of go, "All right, mate, just like
yeah. Just
relax a bit, you know,
throw
just
a jab, and it's
yeah."
like,
And they're just yeah, and it's that Bruce Lee thing, isn't it? You know, boards
mm,
don't hit back. You know,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
anyone can look great hitting pads, but when you've actually got to hit a live target, that's
yeah. It's a different. You got to get used to that broken rhythm. There you go.
yeah.
That's
So
Game of Death.
anyway, yeah,
Let's move on.
yeah. So back to Savat then. So
What do you think?
until we know, well, I think we should just do okay until somebody corrects us and tells us that there's loads of sparring and competing still in Savat.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Okay.
Yeah, I think okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
until I
Me
get
too.
corrected. Any
Yeah.
Savat people out there, get in touch. Let us know.
Yeah.
But
Please
yeah,
watch this
for now,
after it goes live after it ends. Give us views.
I'm sure before anyone shouts at me, right? I'm sure if you put the average Savat person against the average Krav Maga person, the Savat person is killing them all day long. But
Right.
we're
Exactly.
talking about self defense
Self
here, not
defense.
just a one
Not
on
like
one. Yeah,
let's fight, bro. We're talking about
yeah,
not fight, bro.
yeah, yeah. Let's de-escalate and get to a safer environment.
Yeah. All right. Your picks, I think.
Okay, I am gonna go. I am going to talk about something that I know about a bit. So, when you say animal kung fu, are you talking like about the basic sort of the five animal
Yeah.
ancestors sort of
Yeah.
kung fu? Yeah,
Actually,
I'm
yeah.
going to talk about that. Yeah. And
Yeah, you know more about that stuff than I do, so
yeah, and I get
I know
so
some things, but just like
back in yeah, but back in the 90s, before you were born, and I would go to these demonstrations where you'd have all these different styles, and it'd be like the tiger and the panther, and the snake and the crane and all this sort of stuff, and they would do their low stance, elongated, yeah, all that sort of stuff, and you'd look at it and go, "Oh my god, that is so cool! Wow, I wish I did that." Oh, there's me just doing my Tai Chi rubbish, and then you would see them fight at the end of the day, like they'd be in the Sanshou fights, and it just looked like really bad kickboxing,
yeah.
and that
I've seen
for
footage of
me,
that stuff actually. I've seen like footage of them going like,
yeah,
but
and when I
actually
see it, I go, well,
fighting, like
yeah,
actually
yeah, that's
speaking,
that's
it
what I mean.
just
Actually, yeah, and just doing that, yeah, and it's like if that's how you're gonna fight, just join a kickboxing gym. You'll learn to fight a
right.
lot better.
You're gonna learn monkey like
Yeah,
to do thing.
yeah, and so
There you go.
with the animal kung fu, it's like when I used to see it, it'd be like at least I can see Tai Chi in these Tai Chi fights when they fight. Whereas
Yeah,
with animal kung fu, very rare you see any actual animal kung fu in a proper
yeah,
fight.
exactly. And again, certainly there's people who do animal styles that can fight. Like we're
Yeah.
not like shooting down on that. I've seen like
No.
White Crane channel where they explain this like famous motion with the knee up high, and it's essentially just
Yeah.
clinching up and throwing a knee, like just grabbing the arms and poof, going down. So like, if somebody actually knows how to translate this stuff, surely there's people who can fight. But
Yeah, but
again,
you're
we're talking
talking
about
pockets.
gravity. Yeah,
You're talking about like the same with Tai Chi. You're going to have a pocket here and there of people that still know how to fight, doing those systems, and that actually have been in fights. But we're talking about for the average person going to the average class, animal kung fu is kind of bad, I think.
well, yeah, I agree. If this is animal kung fu, goes
Yeah.
the bad. In an animal kung fu fight, you put your hands in the air like you don't care. Yeah, pretty much like. I'm
Although
removing myself from the situation by allowing you to knock me out.
the thing is, like, again, I had to remove my tripod because it doesn't have a thing to hold it. But if I so when you see like you see like the mantis and they hold their hands open like that. But when you see like Nick Diaz back in the day and he'd put his hands up like that, and what you're doing is it's like you can't you can't hook me. You
Yeah,
can't throw hook kicks, you can't throw hook punches. I'm safe. Now I know where the punches are coming. They're coming in that window in between. So now all I've got to do is that to block it. Yeah,
and Nick was great at doing like hammer fists and stuff. Like he'd do
exactly. Yeah,
just like bam, bam, bam,
which
bam,
which is exactly how Mantis is supposed to be
right?
performed.
Exactly, and hitting with the
Yeah,
forearm, bam, 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 bam. And
yeah,
that's like the when people think of like kung fu, like just general, that's like stuff like that, like poof, poof, poof.
yeah.
So
But look, Nick would have been great at that. But as we've pointed out, it's the most people that do it and people that actually practice it, not people that fight
most
like it
people are
should
not
be
Nick
fought.
Diaz. So
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah,
except
bad.
Nick is Nick Diaz. So
Yeah. And he never
yeah.
did. Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, animal kung fu kind of bad.
Yeah,
Nick
kind of
did
bad. Right.
Aikido. That's cool though. That's a thing. But yeah, let's not
Yeah.
get carried away,
Yeah.
which is interesting. All
Right.
right.
What else? I'm also going to go quickly with sumo,
Oh, all right.
and I am going to say okay for sumo.
Yeah, I think that sumo is very underrated.
Mm,
Um, and I think like Like I can imagine a lot of people immediately going to like kind of bad or even trash and stuff like that. But like, first of all, if you're practicing sumo, I'm assuming you're huge. And
Well, no, they do have weight categories, to be
sure,
fair.
sure. But
Yeah,
again,
you do get smaller people.
yeah, yeah, true. But at least for like the like what people assume when they see sumo guys,
Yeah,
like who would want to fuck around with that guy? Like
yeah.
how like big of a chance is like, oh, you're saying that to me, bro, and then you're like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
like
You're all
knock him out.
right
Like,
there.
so that has to be
Yeah,
sumo fighters
intimidating,
are
yeah.
strong, but it's about the technique. That is true. So like sumo fighters are strong, but it is a lot of like redirecting and like
Yeah,
just grabbing.
absolutely.
Like, have you seen another YouTuber like Sensei Seth? Like he's
Oh,
won,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, like sumo stuff. He's been doing karate for his entire life, and now suddenly he's a sumo guy.
yeah.
And so that's cool. So sumo, I think, is okay, at
Yeah,
least okay.
sumo's okay, and, yeah, it's okay, and again, what they practice, they can do. That's the most important
Yeah,
thing, you know?
Sensei Seth used sumo well in USDC, absolutely. But Jeff Chan used an armbar.
But that again, this is what makes me laugh when people go on about, "Yeah, but in the streets it'd be different. Yeah, but in the streets it'd be different." And I know it's not real self-defense, but Jeff Chan was a lot smaller than most of those people, and
Yeah,
he messed them up. You
yeah.
know? It's
Like there you go. So
yeah,
skill and like rigorous training like that, like of an MMA, like he's fought in one championship, right? Like
yeah. He's had a few fights and that, and that's the thing. He's not even the highest level of fighter.
exactly, and he's destroying people in like
Yeah,
compared to like all these martial arts YouTubers. So
yeah. So you then think, what would John Jones do to the average
oh
person?
my
Oh no,
god,
I'd I'd kick him in the nuts. Good luck with that. Good luck.
oh yeah, I love how Beth wouldn't put it. Like, oh yeah, I just gouge the eyes or I do that.
Yeah,
Well,
John
suddenly you
Jones
think,
is pretty good at the eye gouging.
yeah, what do you think if I do that and I'm gonna do that just better than you? Like,
Yeah,
you're
but that's the
thinking,
thing. Yeah, there's no rules. Exactly. The MMA
exactly,
fighter doesn't have
like,
rules either now.
how is that going in your benefit? Like
Yeah,
no rules. That's like worse 10
yeah,
times.
yeah. I want the ref to stop John Jones from like killing
Right?
me.
Please, God, like
As he
somebody,
comes towards me, I just want to be able to tap out straight away, like before he's even
yeah,
touched me.
like imagine fighting John Jones, like in a
Ah,
life.
it's crazy.
No, I like if I don't have a like a RPG or a bazooka, there's no like reason. Even, like,
Yeah, and even
yeah,
then, he's trained in firearms, isn't he? So he's going to get the better of you with that as well.
like you
He's
fucked.
a
Like,
scary individual.
like just slips a rocket like
I wouldn't put it past him. If anyone can, John Jones can.
yeah, right. My God.
Right,
All right.
right. So your picks.
Okay, so let's get spicy and do Tenshin Aikido. Sensei Segal. Let's
Right, that's what I
go.
was going to say. The only thing I know about that is it's the Aikido that is, Steven Seagal's Aikido.
That's pretty much what I know too.
Yeah, and I think because like he
But I
became the joke he is, I think people forget how good he was.
exactly, and I was gonna say, like, of course we're talking about Aikido. So like within all the like Aikido branches and stuff, like the aggression and the actual like fighting mindset that Tenshin Aikido guys seem to have. At least if you've seen like guys like Lenny Sly from Rogue Warriors and stuff like that, he's like from what I might be wrong, but I'm not just now thinking of it, but I think he's a Tenshin Aikido guy, and he's buff as shit. And like they do sparring and stuff like that, and it just
Yeah,
becomes ends up looking like judo with like insane
yeah,
illegal and crazy like joint locks that would like. So if that's again, I don't think that's how most people train it, but it has to be better than just Yoeshiba's like the Aikido.
Yeah.
because at least
The
you're thinking of like destroying this person's arm if they
yeah.
touch you
But I
versus
just
like
think as
expecting
well,
them to.
if you look at Steven Seagal's movies in the 90s,
Yeah,
yeah, that stuff looked like it. Okay, some of the like wrist locks, but that's because it's a movie and he wants it to look
yeah.
good. But when you see him doing a lot of the ways, just grabbing people and throwing them
Oh
into
yeah,
walls,
and
or
the
grabbing
hair
someone's by the
grab.
head and just like boom, you
Yeah,
know?
and like hair grabs, and then like
Yeah,
lock, and then things like these and stuff like that,
yeah. It's like that shit would
and the
work, you know?
kicking, stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
and
a
there's a
lot of
lot
the
of
stuff.
like arcane, there's a lot of like striking in that style. So like grabbing the hair and just like punching here and like elbowing people and stuff like that. So, but again, like sparring and just the reality check aspect of it is still, I think, missing. Even though that they like do think of like aggressive and like violent stuff, I don't think most schools do sparring still. I think it's
Yeah,
mostly demo stuff. So like if they do spar, that's a completely different story. Again, maybe some Tenshin Aikido guys gonna hate us, but from what I understand, they don't spar. So
right. So we've got to go for kind of bad then, I think, haven't we?
right, exactly. Like I,
Yeah, I think
if
kind of
they
bad.
spar, and if most schools will do sparring and be more realistic in that sense. Oh, the sparring statement is incorrect. In what sense? No sparring is necessary, huh, Marco? That's our BJJ guy from Martial Geek. He didn't see my leg, but I'll let it slide for now. Um, so if sparring is more common in Tenshin Aikido, then it would be okay. But for now, we're gonna put it in kind of bad. What do you think?
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely
You said
kind of
they
bad.
spar. The Tenshin Aikido guys spar. So if they spar, then I want to do okay. I know that
Trouble
Tomiki
is,
Aikido guys spar. That's we're
yeah,
gonna get to that one later. But
it's
Tenshin,
the kind of sparring though as well. Because if you're doing this rule, you know, like a Wing Chun guys spar, but it's like,
yeah,
but if you're just stood in front of each other doing patty hands, pat cake stuff, that's
yeah,
not really
it's
sparring, you know.
right.
So, and it's the same. I get the feeling with that Aikido that it's basically just them. You know, I'm going to throw you, you're going to throw me,
Yeah, and I've
and
never
yeah,
seen like when you if you Google search or if you go to YouTube and you write boxing sparring, you're gonna get
yeah,
thousands of different schools and thousands of different people sparring. Um, but if you write like specifically, not just Aikido sparring, and hopefully get some of my videos, but if you write like specifically Tenshin Aikido sparring, there's only a couple videos of that. Like, how common can it be though? Then
yeah,
that's what's making me go. Like if you write Tomiki Aikido sparring and matches, that you're gonna get way more of that. So,
yeah. Okay, yeah, we're going kind of
so if
bad.
you're saying yeah, judo, but yeah, that the ground for tension guys, the ground stuff is non-existent. So yeah, that's a problem as well. So let's keep it at kind of bad. We can revise it later if we figure it out. So uh is it your turn now?
Uh, what was the other one you picked? I think that was your first one you picked, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, right. I picked tension aikido and nothing. Yeah. I'm still me. Still me. Um let's go with let's do normal aikido. Let's get out of the way. So do you have any thoughts on like Yoeshiba is like the most common aikido that we see? Not
I
tension,
think,
just aikido.
I think it's trash.
Yeah, me too. Right? Like,
Yeah, but I don't think there's anything redeeming about it. I think these
right?
guys never do anything even remotely approaching realistic training.
Right? Like at all. Like tension
Yeah,
guys do, Tomiki guys do. And certainly there is like a billion more branches of Aikido that are just called Aikido that do more realistic stuff. But like the basic average Aikido school is gonna be just trash. At so like people will say, yeah, like it develops. like sensitivity towards certain things, but so does ballet or just like basketball. So it's like, how much can we credit that style of aikido? I don't think much. So I'd have to agree with trash, honestly.
Yeah, put it there
Into the bin it goes. Trash.
then.
All right.
Okay, so me picking it, isn't it? All right, let's do.
All right. Before you continue, I'm gonna
Oh yeah,
catch a little toilet break, and maybe you can answer some questions in the chat. I think
I
there's
can't see any chat. That's the thing. I keep
yeah, there's
pressing it, but it doesn't come up.
oh, maybe
'Cause I
because
press live chat and then it doesn't.
yeah, that's it could be because it's on my channel. But again, it's
No, but I
weird if
did
they
see it
don't.
earlier. I saw it earlier, and
What
then
about now?
it's now
Can you do it
gone off.
now? Like tap
So
or
I can tap on live chat, but when I do, it just doesn't come up.
I just tap the screen and it appears,
Yeah,
and
no,
there's
that doesn't work
a
for me.
message.
Strangely
Nothing
not.
wrong with basketball, Marco. I'm saying that basketball is good. I'm just saying that it's not that it's about as good as common aikido. That's what I'm. Basketball is cool. I played basketball. I suck at it though, but I played it. So yeah, okay.
Right, let's
In any case, if you manage to figure out, I really have to do the break quickly.
see. Currently live. So this is. Here we go. I've got live up on here. We do training often with judo guys. The local judo club on stand up. They're beasts, but on the ground, nada. So is that the Aikido guys? It's going to be a whole hour on the toilet. Is he going to get? Is he a little excited? I can understand why he's excited because he's been looking at my beautiful face. Normal Aikido. See, I trained in a normal Aikido class again before most of you were born. And what I remember is a lot of people talking about being able to fight, but not a lot of people actually being
Okay.
able to. Oh, he's back. Do the moves.
Did the chat thing work or?
I've got.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop it, guys.
Yeah. What is?
Oh man. Okay, I gotta explain this, but it's I'm gonna ruin the joke that way. But you deserve to get your joke ruined. So that's Croatian for winged wiener or winged dick.
Winged
Or,
wiener.
yeah, because like tuna sounds like chun from Wing Chun. So like
Right.
Wing Chun is a winged dick. So thank you for that. So he said, "Hey, Alan, ask me what is Grillatachun." Okay, yeah, okay, back on track. Let's go back. Yeah, but you were saying, and then I interjected. So
Yeah, I can't remember what were we on?
yeah,
Was I picking?
real
Was I?
sophisticated level humor.
Yeah.
Interjected. We got off track.
That's what I was saying in my last video about like how to save Tai Chi. There was a lot of the fact that Tai Chi guys don't seem to want to have fun, whereas in any
Yeah.
fight gym you have a
Oh
laughs,
yeah.
and that's what keeps people coming back.
Yeah, like at our gym, it's 40% training, 60% memes.
Yeah,
almost, almost. But yeah,
as
we
it should be.
try to make it fun as much as we can. So
Yeah, right. So what am I going to pick?
Mhm.
I'm going to pick Greco-Roman wrestling.
Oh, let's do that one. That's cool. Ushirate on the stairs. Ushiro Ate is the one where you grab the person by the back and just like drop them like
Oh yeah,
and do that
that's
down the stairs.
that was my favourite school technique.
Yeah, it's my favorite technique in the gym when nobody's looking. So. Marco's saying something as well. Let me see. Well, when I'm not there, I'm afraid to even know the percentage. Alright, okay, let's stay on track. So you said Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah, I think Greco-Roman wrestling is okay.
Yes, and I was thinking about this earlier while I was at work, like being frustrated with YouTube, but hey, it ended up being okay. Because the first thought comes to mind, it's like, oh, it's like judo, it's upper body throws and this and that, but it is different than judo. It's not the same, and I think that judo kind of offers a bit more
Yeah,
than Greco-Roman wrestling, especially if we're gonna like use old school judo that had more stuff. I'm not sure about the history of Greco-Roman, but it's certainly not nowhere near as good as like freestyle or submission wrestling. But the upper body strength that these guys have is insane. Like I've seen and I've watched tournaments and stuff like with Greco-Roman wrestlers. They were in town one like a few years ago when we attended. It was freestyle, but they were primarily Greco-Roman wrestlers, and that was insane to watch what they could do with just like an over under this and that and just like go insane. But again, I feel judo offers a bit more. What do you think?
in
That,
terms of self-defense, I think because again, you've got people with
yeah, yeah,
clothes.
specifically in self defense, like I think judo offers a bit more.
Yeah, yeah, because you've got grips, you've got like chokes, you've got
Whoa,
all of these other things. Yeah, that come when you're in a self-defense situation. You're grabbing people by. I think
yeah,
Greco.
it's
Yeah, I think.
missing.
Yeah, and I think judo still has kind of a fighting aspect in mind, where I think Greco-Roman is something that if you added it to your toolbox, it's going to be amazing. But as a
Yeah,
system to deal with self-defense
yes, it's
situations,
it's just
yeah,
okay. Yeah, I agree. It goes to okay in my book. All right, moving on. Or
yeah. Moving on, yeah, it's your go, isn't it?
I think you have one more, right?
Oh, did I just pick?
I think
It
so,
was
right?
all right. Well, I'll take it.
Help us chat. Help us chat. In my opinion, Greco is just worst version of judo. Yeah, yeah, kind of. That's what we. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, tell
I
that to
don't know
John
what
Jones to his face.
Oh no, he's asking something about BJJ. Meridote. What about BJJ, Marco? He's a primarily a BJJ guy, so probably hurt a bit that it's on.
That's it. I'm a BJJ guy,
Yeah,
but
no, we're all technically, yeah, but he's a really good BJJ guy. Like at least for me, I'm still technically a blue belt and stuff, and he's a blue belt, but he's doing it by the book, and he's like
yeah, but I
going
mean,
into detail. So
if
BJJ is
if
great.
if he's part of the BJJ world, he knows that most of the people who do jiu-jitsu just do it for a bit of fun and a bit of a roll around. Like
Yeah,
when it comes to like a real fight, most of them haven't got the stomach to do it,
yeah, yeah.
and
So no,
and that's
BJJ
why it's
BJJ is
where it is. It's
a
good.
top marker. Yeah.
All right,
So
so
yeah,
I'm picking another one, am I?
sure, I think
All
so.
right, right. Let's go for. Oh, stop spinning. I'm going to leave Wing Chun for you to do.
Ah, thank you.
Right, I'm going to do, since I've already kind of ripped it apart, Taekwondo.
Okay, yeah. TKD.
Yeah, and
Technical defense.
I've got a lot of friends that do Taekwondo and they're going to hate me for it.
Oh no, here we go.
But I'm going to say kind of bad for self defense.
Right? Yeah. And I know power era of Taekwondo used to be different. It used to be better. But again, we are talking about self defense first, not combat sports, not MMA, and also the common modern day gym that does
Yeah,
Taekwondo.
and
Like,
there are the two different styles, but I think both of them
yeah,
lead the same way, which is high
yeah,
kick heavy. And
yeah. Like, I'm thinking of a friend of mine, and he's part of like he's also in doing Japanese jiu-jitsu. I mentioned him, the foot sweep guy. He did taekwondo, and he's got insane dexterity. Like you can see that a lot of great taekwondo translated into his like next part of the journey. But like what sells that taekwondo stuff is his jiu-jitsu and
yeah,
his ability to grapple and understand distance and then strike and stuff like that. And Japanese jiu-jitsu, like here, the official federation has an interesting. Actually, I'll leave that for jiu-jitsu because we have.
jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
But yeah, but take taekwondo on its own. Yeah, I think kind of bad.
I think when we've had black belts come into the gym,
Yeah,
what I've seen is I've seen MMA fighters with like a couple of months training cause black belts in taekwondo real issues with
yeah.
sparring.
And,
You know,
and
they'll
here's
have
the
that
thing.
distance where they kind of compete a bit, but then
Exactly.
it goes to boom straight away as soon as somebody gets a hold of them. And I
Yeah,
don't think
the move
taekwondo
do
people
well.
have a very good base.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking like that goes to show like how different realistic training is, because even though in taekwondo you're developing insane dexterity and like ability to kick high and do all this stuff, if you're not actually learning how to use that in your favor in an actual fight, like a MMA guy that cannot lift his leg past his like belt line, if you offered him $1 million, he couldn't do it. That guy, if he's consistently training MMA, is going to destroy like a Taekwondo guy. Even though the TKD guy can do more dexterous stuff. I think like the video that you made, like a YouTube short, when the guy was just
Yeah,
spinning, and
spamming the spinning attacks. Yeah,
it's not that the spinning stuff doesn't work. It's just like if you do it wrong, nothing works. Like I think I said, like if you do a bad jab, like an untrained person who thinks this is like a jab, and it's not that the jab doesn't work. If you don't know what you're doing with it, it's shit.
yeah,
So
but
I
even if
think
you're good at spinning attacks, if you just spam them, you're getting caught. You know.
exactly. If you're not training realistic, you're gonna get
Yeah,
destroyed. So I think,
and,
yeah,
and I think
taekwondo.
like with taekwondo, you know, when someone knows you're a taekwondo fighter, and they're just waiting for that, and especially when they leave the knee up after a
Oh yeah,
kick, and you're just waiting for that, and then it's you can either go for the takedown or you can go in for a punch. You know, and
yeah,
that's
and those foot sweeps.
yeah, yeah,
You know those, like you lift your leg up, the other
yeah,
one is going off the ground. So, all right, kind of bad. Oof.
yeah. Right, your turn.
My turn. All right. Let's get interesting since I mentioned it. Let's go with jujitsu. So Japanese jujitsu. So the thing that we technically train, kind of. Um, but I think like it's interesting because our school is very different, at least specifically now, because it's almost just us over there.
Yeah,
So because it due to COVID and this and that, like it's sort of it's not in the best shape, the club itself, but it has a good track record of like producing good fighters and doing good stuff. Like I've met a lot of people who've gotten black belts under that under our coach, who's barely ever there because he's very old and stuff and this and that. But yeah, JJJ to me is MMA, but in pajamas. At least that's my experience. Yes, that's how it goes with our gym. Like fighters from this gym compete competed or compete in three different rule sets. Mostly in two, but the third one is sometimes there. The first one is just Nevaza, which is basically BJJ, just like IBJJF/ADCC or whatever. There's slight differences in the rules, but that's essentially what you're doing. But then there's also fighting, which is like point karate plus judo plus groundwork. And then the
Yeah.
third one is full contact jujitsu. And the full contact one is literally just MMA with a gi on. It's like
Yeah.
you can find the footage of that stuff. And like members of our club, there's, I think, footage of that as well. It just looks exactly like MMA or like Sambo or any other functional like martial art. There's a lot of like crazy punch combinations, insane double legs, arm bars. It just looks the same. But that being said, that's this school, like Jiu-Jitsu Club
Yeah.
Academic. Most schools don't do that. A lot of them don't even spar, which is
Yeah. That's
strange.
the issue. Yeah. A
And
lot of it, they just do drilling.
yes,
Like the Japanese jiu-jitsu club by us that I checked out
yeah,
quite a
like
while
the
back,
video you made.
and they do a lot of drills, and they do like a bit of Niwaza
Yeah,
very occasionally,
yeah.
and that's it. You know, there's,
But here's
I
the thing
remember,
about the drill thing, which is interesting and a bit different than a lot of traditional martial arts. When you see like drills in Wing Chun and stuff like that in an average school, a lot of the drills aren't even realistic. Like in a lot of martial arts, the drills are like crazy, like poof, poof, poof,
yeah,
billion steps. Japanese jiu-jitsu drills, even though they're just drills, are very realistic. In fact, like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they do perform it like theatrically, but they actually do things that are realistic, like jab, hook, uppercut, body shot, kick
absolutely,
throw,
yeah,
arm bar.
absolutely. I mean, the stuff that I saw, the striking was very poor,
Yeah,
and that was why he'd gotten in the Kyokushin karate guy that I spoke, because he was trying to address that kind of lack of punching power. But yeah, all the moves they did, the throws, the locks,
yeah,
all of that kind of stuff. It was all stuff that would work.
yeah,
But again, I think if you're not practicing it against fully resisting opponents,
yes,
the chance of you pulling it off. But it's a lot better than nothing, you know.
yes. It's not better than nothing in the sense that what I think is cool, even in the like the least good Japanese jiu-jitsu schools, like when you're ranking through the belt systems, like the locks and stuff, from what I understand, comes later. Like things that you learn first are like judo stuff and like falls
Yeah,
and rolls, and there's a lot of like active. Well, if there's sparring, there's a lot of sparring like that. So I think that they demonstrate a lot of crazy stuff, but they do very early on learn functional stuff. So jujitsu, Japanese jujitsu is in a weird spot in that sense, where it's like almost so good, but it's not.
yeah. I I mean, I think it's okay. Is
Yeah,
how
I
I'd
think it's
say it.
okay. I was gonna say I think it's okay because it's in a weird,
Yeah,
weird spot.
we had a load of that. We had some black belts of this local system visit the gym. This is when I first started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I was like a white belt, two
Yeah,
stripes, and I was tapping out these black belts.
yeah, yeah. That's that's a huge problem. And again,
Yeah.
like I don't. It's so easy to be biased, but I'm think I'm being realistic. But I'm very grateful, like I said in that comment, that like our black belts here, the coaches and stuff, like they can fuck people up. Like they could
Oh yeah, yeah. I bet you
be
can,
fighting
because
with
like I say,
anybody.
I'm coming from, where my Tai Chi,
Yeah,
the high
exactly.
level Tai Chi guys could really fight,
But
but
we
the
are
vast
not
majority of people doing it,
we're not the common
yeah,
school. Like our black belts here are legit, but a lot of them, most of them, are not even close to that. So I think okay is okay.
yeah.
All right, okay.
Okay, so yeah, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu is okay.
All right. Um, it's my turn still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now that I'm covering my martial arts that I come like train a lot, like Japanese jiu-jitsu, let's go to Wing Chun.
Eh,
Let's do that
was it
one.
wing penis?
Winged TT. Winged wiener. Um, absolute trash, horrible. Just kidding.
Yeah, I was.
Um, honestly, like, I want to go with kind of bad. What do you think? Here
Well,
we go.
if we're talking about, yeah,
But
it's
no, no,
kind of,
no. We're talking about self-defense. Hmm.
yeah. If we're talking about self defense and we're talking about the vast majority of people that do it, then I absolutely agree that kind of bad because the way it's taught for the vast majority of people is,
Kind of
you
bad.
know, yeah, yeah, it's chi sao is fighting, and it's like no, and
I'm thinking
again, if you,
it's not. It can't be trash simply because at least you're doing chisao, and when you're doing chisao, there is an element of like developing something. At least, even if it's not realistic, because it's not. It's not fighting, but at least it does tell you and show you that you can get hit by an elbow, you can get hit this way, this and that, and you do get some kind of conditioning through that.
yeah, I think the
But,
trouble is like going to
but that's just elevating it from trash
yeah,
to the bad.
talking about Tai Chi, the pushing hands. A lot of people mistake pushing hands for fighting,
Yeah, like
but if you were to compare Tai Chi pushing hands and Wing Chun Chi Sao, at least with pushing hands, you can do the whole like throwing people into stuff,
yeah,
walls, bars, like
because
all
cheap
that kind of stuff.
all upper
Whereas Chi
body.
Sao falls apart very, very quickly as
Yeah,
soon
it's
as somebody
all upper
levers
body.
you around the head. Yeah,
Yeah, and it often becomes just a game of tag with like hitting you.
yeah,
Even though, again, I think like you'd agree, and even with push hands and chisao, that it's a great tool, but it's not what fighting is. It's not what
no.
it should be. So, and Wing Chun is chisao now, essentially.
Yeah, for the most part, unfortunately.
So I'm
So yeah,
totally not crying at all. But Wing Chun is kind of bad. So,
yeah. Uh,
but we gotta be realistic.
but
Like, here's the thing. So I'm nowhere near a master in Wing Chun. Like, it's not even my primary martial art. I
yeah,
just dabble and like it, and I could absolutely destroy
yeah,
most of like masters and these like common like Wing Chun, and that's
yeah,
a problem. And that's not putting me up. Like, I'm just an average beginner MMA shithead, but it shows how like just a tiny bit of realistic training and like actually thinking about what Wing Chun could be and would be just um changes the whole thing completely. Like,
yeah.
that's a huge problem. That's a kind of bad thing.
Yeah, I think it got
And
I think it got put into this box unfairly. The whole close contact thing.
yeah,
It was like that was an element of it. It was never the whole art.
yeah, exactly. And especially if you
But
look
because it's known for that, it can't escape that box now.
yeah, yeah. And what I was saying, it's hard to like, especially the first time. But I think like obviously it works best in close range when if you're translating Chisao. Um, but if you look at the entirety of the art and what we can speculate that it was used historically, like there's weapons, there's butterfly knives, there's the pole, there's all of this stuff. It was a complete system at a certain point, and it
Yeah,
couldn't have looked like Chisao. There's no chance.
no.
But in
I
modern
think,
day,
in
when
my own
when I
opinion on Wing Chun,
yeah, sorry,
I was going to say my own opinion on Wing Chun is it's not that it's for close fighting; it's that it's a pressure system.
exactly like the Nick Diaz thing that you were saying, like getting
Yeah,
people, because when you look at the dummy, the Mukyong, it's it's by the wall. It's like
yeah,
that it looks like it's simulating an immobilized person, essentially, like somebody that can't go
yeah,
back. Like if you compare it to a heavy bag in boxing, like you're moving around. Like this really feels like you're supposed to like pressure in, destroy it. That's where all the
Yeah,
linear.
and just angle off a little bit, which
Yeah,
is what you're doing with the dummy. Yeah,
yeah,
I
there's
just feel,
angling. There's a lot of angling in that. So
yeah,
angling.
uh, yeah, and that's what I just think. Yeah, it was supposed to be a pressure system, not a close-in system, a pressure system that's been turned into what it is
Yeah,
and can't escape that.
yeah, and I think with the right mindset and the Wing Chun practice, it can be a great DLC to your like MMA. Like I said in that video, I think that Wing Chun practice and Chi Sao stuff and the dummy stuff helped me tremendously, like feeling good when I push somebody against the fence. Like a
Yeah,
load of my Wing Chun just comes out. Like and again, like I said in that video, I think you watched it. It just looks like boxing stuff, but it's all the theory is there. Like all of it just comes out when you pressure somebody and just like push them against the fence. Like I got destroyed in that sparring session with a huge boxer that competes in boxing, but every time I had the upper hand, it was pressuring him against the cage and doing Wing Chun stuff.
yeah,
So, but that's me, and I'm not most people. So, and most people
yeah.
are.
Exactly. That's the unfortunate thing. You're right. It's along the same lines of Tai Chi. It's lost itself along the way, and
Yeah.
it's kind of bad now for self defense anyway. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
your picks, I think.
My pick. Let's go for something that I do really like, which is submission wrestling.
Oh, now we're getting spicy. Armando is in the
Yeah,
chat. I think he's a big submission wrestler.
I
Oh,
think.
nearly every problem with kung fu can be fixed by adding sufficient grappling. There you go.
Well, kung fu is, you know, what MMA wants to
Yeah,
be, is what kung fu was and
kung fu.
should be.
Yeah, it's acquired skill from what I understand. It's just a word for skill, right?
Well, yeah, kung fu, yeah, it's skills, yeah, but it's well done is another translation of kung
Yeah,
fu.
yeah,
It's well done, you know. And my Tai Chi teacher used to say all of the time, you know, when people obsess over forms and things, it's all of these techniques existed first. You know, the
yeah,
form came after.
yeah. That's people classifying stuff like we
Yeah,
always do. So
but yeah. So with submission wrestling, again, we've got the same issues, which is most of the people that practice submission wrestling don't do anything involving strikes.
yeah, that is true.
So they're unprepared for when somebody is actually swinging at them.
Yeah, I think I think though submission wrestling, comparing it to like other grappling styles that we have here, like BJJ, Judo, Shui Jiao, and stuff like that. Um, Even though it does not address strikes, I think I might be wrong. I think that their particular brand of like how they grapple and the mindset is way more of like active, like sort of more offensive, like since it's wrestling. So I'm
Yeah,
tempted to go with awesome, but I'm not sure. I think it could go to good as well. What do you think?
yeah,
But I'm
it's
almost
so
in the
hard
two.
because again we have to go with the vast majority of people
Yeah,
that practice it, and also when we're talking about submission.
yeah, right. Like submission wrestling. Yeah, that's a hard thing. Like, what do we do? Like, how do we have to find like a happy
Because
medium?
Gordon Ryan really is a jiu-jitsu guy, isn't he?
Yeah, right.
But he's specifically no gi, and
Yeah, and that
but
ends up looking more.
so I think we should do like a catch as catch can. So it's talking more like a suckabura sort of more
Yeah, yeah. Let's do catch
than a
wrestling.
Gordon Ryan, and
Say uncle. Say uncle.
so yeah, in terms of, I think it suffers the same things as all the others suffer. I
Yeah.
would be more inclined to put freestyle wrestling as awesome than I
Okay.
would
Yeah.
submission wrestling.
Yeah. I was thinking freestyle wrestling definitely goes. Wait, whose turn is it even? Like, were we?
It's my turn at the moment.
So where do we put
I
submission wrestling?
I think
What do
we
you
should
think?
put submission wrestling good.
Yeah, I'm thinking too. Should we then move on to freestyle wrestling? Would that be our
Yeah,
choice?
let's do freestyle wrestling, and I'm already putting it in awesome.
Yeah, I'm thinking awesome too. I was saving awesome for freestyle wrestling since we did Sanda. So
But freestyle wrestling, they dictate where the fight goes.
exactly.
If
That's
you're
like
getting outboxed by a freestyle wrestler, you're going down.
yeah,
If you're out
yeah.
grappling like a freestyle wrestler, then he's keeping it on the feet, or they're
Yeah,
keeping it on the feet.
like that's the thing. And that's that particular way of grappling for a street is very good. That's like
Yeah,
what you'd want. And it's some like you can argue they don't do submissions and locks and this and that, but for the street, like
yeah,
if you got somebody in mount or side control, you're not gonna be working for a kimura or whatever.
no,
You could smash them in the face and run, but you make sure and you'll have the skill to keep them there and not be on the ground, which is what
yeah,
wrestling like excels at. Like that's very high. It has to be awesome. Just has to, especially when
yeah,
we look at street fights and stuff like that we discuss with boxing and stuff like boxing and wrestling. That's like because it deals with such basic stuff, but it always reaches like max skills like quicker than a lot of different martial arts because you're really like focused and zooming in on like the most efficient things.
Well,
So
the
specifically
other
for the
thing
street.
about it as well, you're never going to tire out a wrestler. Uh,
Oh yeah, no. So yeah, I think awesome. I think that it's
yeah.
deserving of the A tier. All right. So is it
Okay. Back to you again. Yeah.
all right? Let's do Tomiki Aikido. Let's go to Aikido. So I think Tomiki Aikido, like it's definitely I think better. It's better than I think both of these Aikido that we've seen here because
Yes. Has to be.
they actually do compete. And even though it's nowhere near like we just discussed wrestling and judo and this stuff, but I think specifically for the street, it might have a good advantage. It's not going to be too high, I think. Um, but there's a lot of like disregarding the knife thing. I'm always skeptical about the knife, like tanto randori and stuff like that. Like,
But at least you got some idea of.
but exactly, like
Yeah.
there's theory in there, and even when they're doing like open hand, like sparring and matches, like competing with nothing in their hands, there's a lot of redirecting of the force and like awareness, and they're always moving around.
Yeah.
And it's like momentum judo. That's what it looks to me like.
Yeah. And
Because
when we're
they're
talking
constantly
about.
moving.
Yeah, and when you talk about real self-defense, that's somebody really trying to hurt you. That's not people there sort of in and out.
Yeah,
I'm going to fight you. It's somebody is trying to hurt. And when someone commits to a full force attack,
yeah,
and you use those movements, they are going flying.
yeah. Exactly. Like that's Tomiki. There's like a lot of competitions that you can see. The most things that happen aren't wrist locks and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
almost always the redirecting, the like making the other person lose their footing and fall. And almost 9 out of 10 times, the person that did the move ends up in a situation where, in a self defense thing, they'd be in a good position to run away
advantageous.
or move away or be behind the person, which is
Yeah,
imperative. And then they do locks and throws, like very many judo throws and stuff like that is in Tomiki. So I think Tomiki Aikido is okay, honestly. What do you think?
yeah. I'm going to say okay. Yeah,
I think so. That's okay. Should we do kickboxing? We haven't talked about kickboxing.
I haven't talked about kickboxing. Yeah, I think when we're talking about kickboxing, I think the thing we have to think about is, again, the majority of people that do it. And I think what kickboxing suffers more from than most of the other, when we're talking about boxing, sambo, and freestyle wrestling, I'd say where kickboxing comes off not as well as those is because it's a lot more recreational for a lot more people.
Yes, and that's I think this is another spicy element because almost always kickboxers and even MMA fighters and people want to sort of defend kickboxing against boxing simply because there's more weapons and this and that.
Yeah,
But exactly what you're saying, boxers are a different breed when it comes to like an average boxer is a tough motherfucker. like even though they don't use as many weapons or not doing realistic fighting in that sense of like everything being allowed, like I think an average boxer is probably more conditioned than an average kickboxer,
yeah,
even though kickboxing technically has the upper hand when it comes to technique in this. So I'm thinking good.
yeah, yeah. That's where I was going to put it. It was good.
It's going to good. Think it's your turn.
Okay, well, seeing as how we've done Kyrgyzstan, I should probably also do Shotokan.
Yeah, right.
Now,
Our friend,
Shotokan,
I don't think he's in the chat, but he's a Shotokan black belt. He's awesome, a martial geek. But he's at work, I think so.
yeah. Well, it's a shame because I'd like to ask him some questions because again, my knowledge of karate starts getting mixed. Oh, he's back.
He's back. Oh, wow. Did we reach a mark or something?
Oh, I can't hear now.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, no, it's funny.
I can hear you. What about now?
Right, is that
Right,
cleared
is
up?
that cleared up?
Oh, no, it's
Oh,
not.
no, it's not.
It's come.
It's come. So you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
Yeah, I can
very,
hear you, but
very.
very, very.
I'm getting.
I'm getting. What about now? Shite. Like you've gone darker as well.
That's just
That's just the sun.
Sun's
Sun's
going.
But can you hear me now? Any better?
Not much.
Not much.
Let me try this
Try
again.
this again. That's strange. Did we reach like a 2-hour mark or something? I think that's what happened. But why is it?
I don't know. I can hear better now.
But I'm coming through twice. Really? Oh, crap. Huh.
Yeah, so I've
got like an echo going on.
And now your voice has gone totally.
And now I'm back?
Yeah, you're back
Yeah,
now.
you're back now.
But
I've got that echo going on again. Shit. One is echoing and the other is quiet.
Your
voice is sorted out, but it's just what should I do another? Like, should I try another live stream so that we can finish this?
Yeah, let's
Try that.
try that.
Yeah. So I'll end this one.
Yeah.